EpicSeven is guilty of releasing characters that are primarily focused on PvE only. What? And if you don't believe me, take a look at these characters, who in all honesty, you can argue are for PvP or PvE, but judging by the fact that Smilegate doesn't include any PvP demos whatsoever, it's safe to say that these characters are focused for PvE only. Now, between Canna, Alexa, and Ram, what do all these characters share in common? They're terrific in PvE, they do a load of things well, and honestly, in their niche, they perform above average. Canna beats up Grass Expo, sustains the team, gives attack buff or speed buff, and all these things are really great. Alexa is great for Wyvern, her S3 does a load of damage, and in all honesty, between the damage and the bleed and her being free, honestly, she's a great option, assuming you for some reason don't want to use Sigrid. And finally, Ram can be used against a bunch of ice content. Blue Expo and Banshee 13, she's a great addition to any team where you need a grass damage dealer. What really stands out for them and what really makes them even recommendable by most players? That's right, it's their accessibility. You are much more likely to have these characters on your account, or you are more likely to upgrade them, simply put, because you have access to them. Alexa, as I mentioned before, is a 3-star and likely not that difficult to get. Ram is given for free, assuming that you're playing when ReZero banner floats around or returns, whenever that is. And finally, Canna is available through connections, so I mean, how can you not have me? By contrast, let's consider a few other characters who also had PvE only releases, but were a little bit different. Biken, Great Chief Cannaaaa, and Kane. These other characters, for instance, they also had PvE only releases, but having purely PvE intentions is a completely different story than the aforementioned characters. Now again, while it is one thing to admit that these characters are extremely good in their niche or in PvE, it is an entirely different story to say that these characters will never, ever, pretty much be seen in RTA, PvP, outside of some weird off-meta build. Myself personally, I haven't seen any of these characters, Kane, Great Chief Cannaaaa, or honestly even Biken, in anything except for a weird YouTube video that a content creator probably uploaded. I'm also guilty of this. Now, with how uncommon it is to see these characters outside of PvE content, the first question you really have to ask yourself is, am I overreacting? Do these characters actually need to even be in PvP? So yes, you could definitely argue that I'm overreacting. PvE characters are fine, and in all honesty, most characters don't really even play PvP. A lot of people will do their guild wars because they want the mystics, and they'll do their arena like just to stay in champion. But all in all, if we're judging based off of whether or not these characters can be used in RTA, who cares? Plenty of people that I've talked to in the E7 community just care about whether the character is limited, as in like they won't have access to the character in the future, or if they make anything that you do way easier and they're given to you for free. On the other hand, however, it doesn't really feel good to tell people that their characters are only locked behind specific content, never to see the light of day ever again. In a similar vein of people that are trying to min-max or that want to make the most out of their pulls and their summons, a very common question that I'm asked and most other people are asked as well is it worth it to pull for the character? These are obviously people that are not Giga Wills and make up the majority of players in all honesty. So assessing whether or not a character is good in multiple pieces of content so that they have versatility and not just a random rift killer bot once every 6 months, that's pretty important. So in that case, and my plea to Smilegate is that in all honesty, while it is nice to make characters PvE or have a specific niche or be very good at one specific thing, it is frustrating to see some characters that were designed purely for PvE, and even Smilegate themselves won't try to make them work in PvP. Imagine if a character like Rem or Amelia were designed only for PvE and you were someone that really liked ReZero. If you enjoyed playing Arena, Guild Wars, or RTA and you suddenly saw that Rem and Amelia could only be used in PvE content, you would be pretty upset too. Now obviously that isn't the case, and what we got instead was Ram as the PvE character, but ultimately I'm not a huge fan of Smilegate specifically catering to one niche and not even attempting to show the strength of other characters in content like Arena, Guild Wars, or RTA. Now I don't expect Smilegate to release characters that are so broken that they could be used in all content at all hours of the day, but for Smilegate to not even attempt an Arena showcase where they get to control all factors, choose the enemy team that they're fighting against, the sets that they have on their own characters, the characters that they have, artifacts, everything. It's an entirely controlled environment. That seems kind of ridiculous. So again, I know this is a bit of a rant. However, I think it is really important that Smilegate open their eyes and see that characters that are locked behind specific niches only, especially when the niche is an entire game mode and not even like a kind of element or like gameplay style, that's not a good look. I don't really mind if a character like Rem is really good at shaking off debuffs. However, if she's only good at shaking off debuffs in PvE content only and she has no room to be played in PvP, come on Smilegate. On the flip side, if a PvP character like Apocalypse Ravi had no use in anything but PvP, I think that would also be an issue. Most players expect characters in EpicSeven to be usable in not just one piece of content, and honestly, even if they aren't being sold as good PvP or PvE characters, they're likely to try the character in multiple pieces of content anyways. What that means is that Smilegate should definitely look into characters that are not just fitted for only PvE or PvP, but just characters that do very well in a specific niche, i.e. cleansing, doing a lot of damage, etc, etc. Now, all of this obviously is just my opinion. However, when I hear people get really upset about how Cannaaaa AI is not usable anywhere, or a character like Biken can only be used in Banshee 13, it makes it really hard for me to justify getting a character like that, or pulling for a character that isn't limited, or sometimes even is limited just because they're old only for PvE and they have no PvP or other usage anyways. Long story short, guys, I hope Smilegate doesn't try to lean only into this PvE focused or PvP focused divider. I don't really know what it is, but with a character like Kane who was just released, not only is he focused on PvE only, the content that he was designed to clear is already being cleared well before his release. So in all honesty, this character is almost a complete pass for 99.99% of the player base, especially if we're assuming that Smilegate doesn't want to use him in any other content like Arena, GVG, or even RTA. Anyways, guys, that's going to be it for this video. I know this is a bit of a longer one. However, I just wanted to express my feelings and thoughts about Kane, especially because I've now cleared the content that he was supposed to basically become the god at, and I just cleared it without him and using a variety of either free characters or other limiteds. So all in all, I'm not really sure what the purpose of Kane is, and since he's not limited, I can't really in good conscience recommend him to anyone. But anyways, guys, that's gonna be it. Make sure to like, comment, turn on the notification bell. Let me know what you think about this PvE versus PvP only kind of focus that EpicSeven has been leaning towards, and let me know if you would do anything different. Anyways, make sure to check out all my platforms: YouTube, Discord, Twitch, Twitter, TikTok, all that jazz, guys. I'll see you on the next one. Adios.